So in this video, we go look at how to use a scanner again, right? With the constructor that take a file input and specify the char set name. What's going to do is pretty much just going to construct a new scanner that produces value scanned from the specified file. Bytes from the file are converted. When it's scanned in as a byte. You know that it's just the lower level. After that, it's get converted into the characters using the specified char set. But there are many standards. It could be scanning from a string as ASCII and convert it to the Unicode standard, right? 16 bits. So we are going to use a class name standard char set, which is importing from this package, java.nio.charset. So come back to the same program, which is we read in the file, right? And it's from the name here, right? Now we're gonna use the constructor with the standard char set. We're gonna import this char sets. If you spell it correctly, it should give you a list of standard char sets. We have to do dot. There you go. And if we want to convert to like UTF-16, then Unicode 16 standard, we pretty much just need to import this standard char set. It's auto import for you right there. So we have the file and we have the char sets, right? Now let's look at our constructor again for scanner. So we actually use this. Now it's going to tell you those this time file not found exception, right? Which is like just showing you that when you use, it may try to locate and couldn't find a file, right? Which I can specify exactly file not found exception, or I can just say exception. Okay, that's one way. You can say exception or file not found exception. So when you read this, that's how you read it. Alright, so it's a illegal argument exception if the specified encoded is not found. So file char set is undefined. So there's an error here. We try to use the common char set name, right? So if you look at this, like if I use standard char set, it's pretty much just a char set that's returning back. So that's why there's an error here. Because parameter for this is actually looking for a string, not a char set. Okay, so that's why there's an error here. So in order to fix this, you have to pretty much just do dot name. Because if you look at the methods, right, it should get returns the string back. Dot. There you go. Name will return a string back. String of the char set. And it will be happy. Like I said, if you just do that, it's only the return char set, but we want to get the string type instead, then we do .name. And now it's just break and convert into UTF standard. And it's print out. It's pretty much going to display the same, but now it's just use UTF instead. So what we're gonna look at here, we're gonna look at not just only how to use the constructor here. I show you 4 of this. You can just go to your home and try to export the rest, like path, pretty much just the whole path to where your file location is. But you have to know what's the path class. And you can look at the source is a readable source or not. Now, those are classes. Don't forget those are classes when you see that. Like string, readable, right? We talk about those classes. Now we're going to explore into the methods. Like we talked about close already. Next one is delimiter. So it's going to return the pattern that the scanner is currently using. Like by default, I want to know what's the delimiters. So what's the delimiter is pretty much just something that it's white space. When you read, it stops at white space. When you do next, like for example, if I instead of next line do next, it's going to stop at white space. That's the delimiters. And I just show you that the current delimiter is white space. White space, that means a space bar that you do hit once. See, stop and read and stop, right? So because my text contents has all the white space, so it's read and stop and read. So when you do next, always stop at the delimiter, which is the white space. That's the white space. We technically can change that. Let's say I want to change to comma. Right, and I might want to read in integers, like for example, I want to read in numbers like 1, 2, 3, and let's make it stop at comma as the delimiters. Now this whole thing I'm going to do instead of next, I'm going to do an integer now, so it's next int. Alright, next int. Now if I do next int without the comma, I have to do space, right? And run this. It's going to read it as delimited as a space, which is the space, right? Like if I have 123, that's going to be read as one number, right? And 124, 125. So it's limit at the spaces, right? If I change this, if I do comma, that's going to be problem here if I want to delimit by comma. I want to run this. This is going to be an error, input mismatch exception, because default is looking for an integers. This one is no longer integers. We use comma. But we actually want to separate it by comma to different numbers. So we should be able to set the input delimiters. So this is actually what we want to use delimiter and specify the pattern. Now pattern again, if you look at it in front, this is a class, right? Pattern. So that means you pretty much just need to know how to use a class again. We need to import a class, and we have to know how to use pattern. One way to look at is you can look the same way, put new inside like that. Right? New. If you use it only once, you can put inside. But if you use it over and over again, like input like that, you can just separate the line like that. Like scanner input equals to new scanner. to create an instance. Like if you only use once, like file, you don't need to create an instance. Import patterns, and pattern that we want is a comma. Now we have to look at if the constructor of like Java doc, it would take like string or not. This is like try to show you that you don't need to do the whole line like that. You could, but you don't have to if you use it only once. You can just do it pattern equals new pattern. Like the same, like you don't have to do the whole line file equals to. You could just take new file name. If you use it only once. Like now, if I do that, I pretty much just pass an instance through that. It's the same thing. You can just shorten it by just use the highlighted part inside there. Right, it's just like scanner input new. That's the pattern when you declare instance. Now I'm going to check the Java doc of pattern. One way to look at Java doc. Use your Eclipse. You have to know how to use pattern, and this is showing you what are the patterns. We're going to talk about that. Okay, the regular expressions. But now let's make it simple first. We just want to use comma to see. Look at the constructor, how you use the new class. Whenever you use new class, just look up your Java doc and look at the summary of the constructors. That's the field summary. This is a method summary. Let's see constructor. Let's search for that. So I scroll down to the method summary. So now I had a question about statics. You may see when we see statics, like some students ask what is statics, what it mean. Right? You start to see that some methods are statics. Like compile here. It's going to compile a given regular expressions, like X here, regular expressions, into a pattern, and reg is a string. Like for example, if I want to use this with statics, that means I do not need to do instantiation like the way that I try right here. You don't need to do that. You can just say pattern dot. You can access the method right away when the method are statics. And then now I'm going to just say like comma. Right. So let's test now. So we're able to read it and separate by commas. Every comma is going to read it. Every comma is going to read it. Now what happens if I remove the last comma? Let me save the file and rerun it. So it's going to read in with C comma, it's separated. And the last one is a delimiter type, which now it's changed from white space to comma to show me. So it works the same, right? Now if I do space, it's no longer separated by space because I change the type. It's going to say input mismatch instead. You have to stop it by giving like separate by comma.